started. So, hello everyone. My name is Al'Alai. I'm your local Charlotte realtor, and we're back for session two of Faith and Foundations, financing your future home with mortgage broker Mark Sears. So, Mark, last time we talked about credit. We talked about loan types. We
Mm.
talked about student loans. We talked about purchasing if you are single and so many other topics. So I thought it would
Sure.
be good first. What we didn't do last time is let you do a little intro and tell people a little bit about yourself,
Okay.
what you do and how long you've been doing it. And
Sure.
then I think it would be good for us to do a recap for those that were previously not here on some of
Okay.
those same topics, right? High level. And then get into some of the things that you said you wanted to talk about last time that we didn't have time for it.
Something did pop into my mind after we were done, and so I'm
Okay.
glad that we had the shared foresight to say, "Hey, if we're going to do one, let's do two, so that we
Yes.
can make sure that we perhaps cover some topics that we might overlook." So, a little bit about me: I have been in the finance sector for a very long time.
Okay.
Long enough that I tell folks one of the first projects that I worked on in my career was compiling data for the company that I worked for, and it ended up being something called a credit score. That was the
Oh,
byproduct of that project.
okay.
And, prior to that time, we simply looked at credit reports and we kind of rendered a decision, thumbs up, thumbs down,
Mhm.
kind of the Caesar type of mode. But I realized then kind of the direction that things were going,
Mhm.
in the relation that the career that someone had could impact a credit outcome, um, and what kind of the total picture of their liabilities came into play. And that was a long time ago, Al'Alai. And so kind of been involved with finance, business to
Mhm.
business sales at the corporate level for an extended period of time. And, and in this specific space related to mortgage, it really has felt like a calling.
Okay.
And it's something that I genuinely wish that I had gotten into many years ago for a
Mhm.
couple of reasons. One, I love the entrepreneurial aspect of it. I am 100% commission based. If I don't sell something,
Don't eat.
I don't eat. Right? I got to sing for my dinner, as I say.
Okay.
But and I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
I accept the pressure of that.
Mhm.
Which is a distinguishing fact from a mortgage advisor, a mortgage broker, and say a retail banker. They pretty much know that they've got everything safe and secure, whether they close a loan or not. So that's a
Mhm.
distinguishing factor for us. Um, and so we can talk about, just as the night goes on, some of the products and services that I think are distinct. But that's fundamentally who I am. That's who I am.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do high level because again, we
Okay.
talked about credit score. So let's
Yep.
start there.
Okay.
For those interested in purchasing,
Okay.
let's talk minimal credit score on a
Mhm.
general accessible loan, and then optimal credit score if there is one.
Okay. Sure. So the answer is it depends.
Hmm.
It depends on the loan type, which we discussed before. Kind of the fundamental mortgage programs are FHA, conventional, jumbo, and then you start deviating into stuff like VA, Veterans Administration loans, USDA, and then what we call non-qualifying, non-QM loans, which that's something that I want to talk about that we didn't last time. I think
Okay.
it's very impactful. So credit scores can range anywhere from about 580 on the low end
Mhm.
up to over 800, up to over 800. And I joke with customers all the time that once you get to about 750 or 760,
Mhm.
everything else above that, you're just kind of showing off. The
Okay.
rates just kind of the race just kind of peter out, and it's like, okay, we get it, you're good. Here's your here's your loan option.
Okay.
So 580 up to about 750 or 760 or so, and that's pretty much the rate spectrum. Um, Once you get into products like VA loans, then there's a little bit more flexibility related to the credit scores.
Okay.
And that's something that is a valuable resource. It's a way that that we kind of give back to those who've served by
Mhm.
allowing them a little bit more flexibility and latitude, understanding that sometimes it can be difficult transitioning back um, into mainstream society after serving. So
Mhm.
there is some opportunity there for some grace and forgiveness.
Okay. So minimum credit score on a VA loan is what?
You can go into the mid fives. You can go in. I've heard rumors and from colleagues that they've been able to get stuff in the low fives. I
Okay.
haven't. I personally have not had a client at that point thus far, but I'm kind of looking forward to the challenge because I've heard stories and I've heard fables that those
Okay.
opportunities exist out there, and I'd like to be able to help somebody out if I can.
Okay, nice. So if someone served in armed services, served in the
Mhm.
force, then they could get a VA loan with a credit score at least mid fives.
We can confidently say that. We can confidently say
Okay. Okay. And then for the regular individuals, regular civilians, we're looking at least 580 depending on the loan type.
at least 580, depending on the loan type.
Okay. All right. And then we talked about this, but still want to bring it up. What documents are needed for someone to get pre-approved?
Very easy. And most of this is going to be consistent from lender to lender because so much of mortgage is based on federal guidelines. So it's going to be consistent when you go. Number one, we're going to need your ID. So a driver's license, passport, some type of valid identification, just to kind of protect you and make sure that no one is committing identity theft and stealing your information. So we're going to ask for photo ID. We're going to look for two pay stubs, your two most recent pay stubs,
Hmm.
and your two most recent full bank statements that you plan to make down payment or closing cost payments from.
Okay.
That's the core. That's the core. And then we start building from there. If someone makes say bonus or overtime compensation,
Hmm.
then we'll start asking for the last two pay stubs from the month of December in the two prior years. And that
Okay.
sounds really difficult, but since so much is automated now, most folks can go into their HR system and extract that. And the reason that we do that is a W-2, which we also will collect, two most recent W-2s, but that last pay stub will actually break out by category,
Hmm.
bonus, overtime, and tips, things of that nature, whereas W-2 won't. And we want to be
Gotcha.
able to count and to consider all compensation that's going to help borrower get across the finish line.
Good. Good to know. How are, I guess I should say, bonuses and commissions factored into being able to qualify?
Yeah, we kind of look at a 2 year average, and
Okay.
you want to see that, understanding that a bonus is just that, right? Sometimes it may
Hmm.
be high, sometimes it may not exist at all, depending
Hmm.
on the environment. So we'll do a 2 year look back and come up with an average based on that. And
Okay.
for overtime, if someone is on the job for 1 year, then we can count the overtime that they receive from their employment.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Good to know. Now, you mentioned a non-qualifying mortgage. Is that right? Non-qualifying loan.
Yes.
You want to get into that for us?
Yes. Non-QM. This is when we were done last time. I was kind of thinking back. I was like, I don't think we talked about that.
Hmm.
Um, Non-QM loans are a differentiator for my business, for our shop that we run. And what a non-QM loan is it's simply a loan that doesn't fit into those other buckets that we talked about, the FHA, conventional, and jumbo loans. It is for individuals like, let's say, full-time realtors, any
Mhm.
type of gig worker, someone who is on a 1099 type job rather than a W-2. We can put them in what's called a bank statement loan, where we will look back at 1 to 2 years of bank statements and
Okay.
determine their income that way.
Okay.
We can do what's called asset utilization type of loans, where if someone has an annuity or lottery winnings or NIL money or anything like that, and we can just depreciate that over a set amount of time to come up with an income amount. And so it opens up lending to some folks that traditionally have had a tough time being able to get in there. Uber drivers, and
Mhm.
we're in a gig economy right now, and
Yes.
those folks work hard and most certainly deserve the opportunity for home ownership. So this is a pro. This is a suite of products that that we're proud to have and to offer, and just to get the message out to folks that hey, this is something that you should consider. This is something that
Okay.
you consider. Now, the thing of it is, it does come with a little bit of a steeper down payment requirement, 20% versus yeah, anywhere from 3% up, depending on the loan type. But it does give them a pathway to homeownership.
Nice. Now, would entrepreneurs be included in that as well?
Absolutely. Anybody
Okay.
that's on a 1099, and
Mhm.
we can go from there. And we can layer that with programs like tax returns, profit and loss, just any number. I think we'll probably have a total of a dozen different non-QM loans that we can match up for folks to get them in a suitable loan product.
Nice. Now, something I didn't bring up last time, but I would love to talk about.
Mm,
Does someone have to be located in North Carolina for you to assist them?
it depends.
Go ahead.
It depends. So I'm currently licensed in North and South Carolina and Louisiana for some weird reason for residential loans. For residential loans, I am going to expand into Virginia and Georgia. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do first, but
Okay.
I will do either of those. And that's again for residential loans for primary residences. For investment loans, I can actually lend money in 49 states, every state but New York,
Okay.
every state for New York. So if someone is an investor um,
Mhm.
anywhere across the country, if you're living in North Carolina and want to buy property for an investment in Montana, I can structure that deal. I can broker that deal. If you're a
Nice.
resident of New Jersey and want to buy investment property, I can assist with that as well. So we do have a nationwide outreach. Again, every state but New York. And I really need New York to come online because I actually know a lot of people in New York. I think I could be okay there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, very nice.
we have a application pending there, and I think it's just kind of working its way through the red tape at the
Okay.
state level.
Okay. So residential. So we're talking about primary residence, North
Yes,
Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Fingers crossed, Georgia and or Virginia coming soon.
Yeah, it's gonna. So I'll be doing both of those. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of deciding which one to do first. And the
Okay.
beauty of the company that I'm partnered with is we do have a nationwide footprint, and it's as easy if someone were to call you today and say, hey, I need a mortgage in
Mhm.
Atlanta. You could call me, and I could literally be up and running tomorrow for that. So it's not difficult
Gotcha.
at all.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Now, I love that you brought up investment because I have some questions about that. So we touched lightly on wealth building last time. Could you talk a little bit more? And I know this is, somewhat opinion plus mixed with some fact. Share a little bit more about your thoughts in terms of purchasing real estate for an investment tool
Yeah.
and building wealth through that tool.
So what's our title? Faith and Foundations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's look at it from a faith perspective, and this is going to bleed over into a primary residence as well, right? So a lot of folks are familiar with Matthew 25:14 through 30. It's the parable of the talents,
Hmm.
right? Get three folks, give them talent. One chose to go and bury it. So I'm just going to protect this and return it as it was. The other two took a little bit of risk. Those two were celebrated when they returned for having the faith to step out and to grow. The one who buried kind of got chastised for not having faith, right?
Hmm.
So like a super quick Sunday school lesson. So that applies to real estate. That
Okay.
applies to real estate from both a primary residence perspective and from an investment perspective. Um, when we are blessed with talent, with opportunity, when people pour into us to propel us forward, then we ultimately have an obligation to do so and to take that talent and to grow it. So, real estate investing is, to me, a natural step for someone once they become a primary homeownership. Once they become a primary homeowner.
Okay.
Now, there are some instances where it may make sense to become a real estate investor before you are a homeowner.
Hmm.
Let's say, for example, if you reside in a high cost area like San Francisco, Los Angeles, or New York City, right? It wouldn't be uncommon for someone there, good wage earner, to purchase, say, a beach house somewhere and
Hmm.
to pop it on Airbnb. So they're renting their primary residence, but have an income producing property elsewhere. Um,
Hmm.
Otherwise, though, typically you'll see the most linear um, form of getting into investing is to purchase a first home uh, as a primary residence, and then to scale up, and then scale up.
Do you, in your opinion, do you feel like that is realistic given the current economy? Because a lot of people still feel like they are completely priced out of home
Sure,
buying.
sure.
And some people feel like it just won't be a real, or, realistic thing for them to have. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I believe that there is a hidden cost of inaction, right? There's a tax on waiting. We go right back to what we were just talking about with the
Mm-hmm.
parable of the talents. There's a tax on waiting. There's
Hmm.
a cost associated with inaction. Um, you can be perfectly fine, and I said on the prior call, there's dignity in all housing,
Hmm.
and I'm not that mortgage guy that's going to demean anyone who rents. Um, I, I've rented a home before, apartments
Hmm.
before, so that certainly is not my intent. But as a part of a financial package, as a part of net worth building, uh, it is proven that real estate is one of the soundest investments that anyone can get in.
Hmm.
And to your point, with the point of entry, cost of entry right now being considered um, steep, it's only going to get steeper.
Hmm.
It's only going to get steeper.
Got it.
So you have to get in when you can get in and adapt as you go forward.
Hmm. Okay. So that may look like maybe you don't get the $700,000 house, right? But maybe there is a quaint townhouse for 260 that you can get into to
It,
start the process.
it's all relative, right?
Hmm.
Depending on the wage scales where you are,
Yes.
we could have people on this platform tonight at any part of the country, anywhere in the world, right?
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, I think it comes down to an individual perspective. Someone moving here from New York, Charlotte is dirt cheap,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But it's someone moving from
Maybe
somewhere,
Kentucky.
yeah, then it may be bonkers here. So
Hmm.
it's all relative, and I think that you have to adjust your expectations to fit and match the realities of the situation where you are.
What if I don't like that though? What if I feel like things
Mhm.
should just be more accessible and
Yeah,
pricing should come down? What would you tell someone who feels that way?
I would tell someone to never compromise on what you want and what you like. I would also encourage someone to have a team of advisors that could assist them with connecting the emotional aspect of purchasing a home, of
Hmm.
investing, right, of wealth building, with the emotional part, with the pragmatic part, the analytical part, right?
Okay.
Because what we want is for you to, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years, to be stout, to be stout.
Hmm.
And that may come with a little bit of short-term um, challenge, headwinds, discomfort, whatever the case may be, right? It may not look exactly like the house that you want, your dream house, the house that's on your vision board. But when that equity is building,
Hmm.
you're
Yeah.
you're winning. You're winning.
Hmm.
You're
Mm, I like that. So
yeah,
you're saying just what I'm hearing is like one, don't compromise, but knowing that it may look like putting a specific plan in place to get to where you want to be. So instead of it being like this straight trajectory, it may be the curving path, right? So you may
yeah,
start with the smaller home and work your way up to your dream home
absolutely, absolutely. And a dream home is different for
for
everybody,
everybody. Yeah,
right? Some
yeah,
people want a house that's turnkey ready and they don't have to do anything.
that's me.
Some people want to live out of HGTV remodeling dream. They want a project when they move in, right?
Hmm.
Some people want a yard. Some don't want to do yard work. So whatever. But I would encourage everyone to at least explore the option, particularly with the rate that rents are rising in the Charlotte metro area.
Hmm.
And our core focus is in both Carolinas. Rent's not going down,
Hmm.
and it's going to rise just almost as right as rain. It's going to rise about 3% every year.
Okay.
Every year, it's not going down. With a mortgage, your mortgage rate, if you have a fixed rate loan, that's a lock until you refinance it. The only thing that can change is your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes, which
Hmm.
got to get out and vote. That's the only way to change that. So,
Yes, please go vote. Please go vote. We do have a question in the chat, so I want to make sure
okay,
I ask that.
yeah,
She asks, "What is the hidden cost?" When I think about purchasing the home, what are some of the hidden costs that
okay,
maybe aren't considered that I need to be
yeah,
considering?
okay. So let's talk about let's attack that from a couple of ways. One, the cost to get in the house, and then those homeownership costs that you kind of incur after the fact.
Hmm.
So, getting into a home, typically you're going to have to come up with two buckets of money: down payment and closing costs. Down payment and closing costs. Now, the down payment will depend on the loan type that you get. Excuse me. On a VA loan, it's zero. That's a part of the guarantee that we make to our veterans, is that you'll be able to purchase a home and not put any money down. And interestingly, only about 13% of veterans use a VA loan.
Mm.
but a much higher percentage than that of veterans actually own homes. So it's really odd that the program isn't utilized to the max. So, but for an FHA loan, the minimum is 3.5% down. Conventional is 5%, and some of the non-QM loans that we talked about is 20. So, and that's of the purchase price of the home. And then the closing costs are typically about anywhere from 3.5 to 5% of the purchase price of the home. So you can extrapolate that out and do the math. So just figure anywhere from probably about 7% of the purchase price of the home is what you should expect to pay upfront. Now, what's hidden in that is hidden. I'll use that word. Let's say unfamiliar rather than hidden, because everything is disclosed. I don't have any hidden fees. I don't have any hidden fees. And in fact, when I provide a loan estimate, I typically estimate high so that people don't have a surprise at closing, right? That, oh my gosh, you told me I was going to have to come up with 5,000, but this says 8,000. I don't do that. I want it to be the other way, that you thought you were coming with 8, but you only have to bring in 5. But so wrapped in those closing costs will be stuff like a home inspection, an appraisal for the home. So those are two different things. The appraisal kind of looks at the value of the home in comparison to others that have sold in the area within a certain amount of time. And the inspection, make sure that stuff in the house works, that the garbage disposal, dishwasher, the lights come on, the brake circuit box is functioning. That's the difference between those two. May want to have a pest inspection depending on the age of the home, and a radon test, which is for a chemical byproduct that's associated with some homes depending on their age. So those are costs that are disclosed, but they're in that 7% total amount that we talked about. You can expect to pay. Now, once you get in the house, I think that's where a lot of folks who are drawn to renting, I think that's kind of what they look at. It's like, okay, so I know I have to pay first and last to get into an apartment, but then I can call the landlord and they'll come fix whatever. Right? I don't have to worry about it. There's some validity to that. You can also create that same dynamic in your home, though, because you can purchase a home warranty where if there's an issue with the plumbing, if there's an issue with the electrical, any other number of things, there's even warranties that cover swimming pool equipment, stuff like that. You pick up the phone, you call them, and they do it. So you don't actually have to do it yourself. But there's a cost associated with owning a home, but it's an investment in yourself. It's about stewardship of what you've been blessed with, right? Of caring enough about it to fix it, to mow the lawn, to trim the hedges. Those are things that there's a certain pride associated with that, and it also positively affects your pocketbook, because a good-looking home will increase in value much more so than one that is not well taken care of.
Awesome. Awesome. Did that answer your question? I want to make sure that answered your question about hidden costs. Do you think the hidden costs is probably the greatest aspect that deters people from purchasing, or do
I
you
think
think
it
it's the
is.
financial? Okay.
Yeah, I think that it is, because at the end of the day, folks understand that you have to do stuff. You have to do something if
Mhm.
you're in the house,
Mhm.
and you can pay for you can pay for somebody to cut your grass. Um, I think you still need to know what a well cut lawn looks like in order to make sure they're not scamming you.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
not getting over on you. You need to, if you're paying someone to paint, you need to be able to communicate to them what you want and what your expectations are.
Yes.
But to me, as a homeowner, to me, the things that stop working or don't work as well, I understand that that's tangible and I can fix it. The things that frustrate me personally as a homeowner is stuff like homeowners insurance. And that's going to affect you if you're renting as well, because if people have renters insurance,
Hmm.
all insurance costs are increasing infinitely. It's crazy because of all of the climate disruption that we've had over the last few years. Uh,
Hmm.
Home insurance rates, renters insurance, all those things are just increasing exponentially. And that's a cost that, if you're a homeowner, that it's real, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to consider that. We consider it up front when we're doing mortgage analysis. When we're doing underwriting, we'll factor in what the impact of insurance is on your monthly payment. So if I give you a pre-approval, that insurance is already kind of wrapped in there, and we've already
Mm.
kind of estimated that you can afford it.
Nice. And she has some additional questions. She said, are home warranties usually monthly costs versus yearly costs? And can they be tied in with the HOA fees?
So it's a separate fee from the HOA fee. HOA
Hmm.
is paid directly to the homeowners association. It's not paid as a part of your mortgage, although we do include it in your total payment amount when we go through the underwriting process for you. So if let's say HOA is $1,200 a year, we'll add $100 to your estimated payment so that we can calculate your debt to income.
Hmm.
The maintenance, home maintenance programs, home warranty programs they can be paid either monthly or annually. And I think it's like any other subscription, like many subscriptions out there. If you pay it in a lump sum, it's slightly less costly than it is paying it over 12 months. But you can definitely pay it over 12 months. And in many instances, as you all know, Al'Alai, that could be negotiated as a part of a sale up front on an existing property. It's not uncommon for sellers to provide a 1 year home warranty. And it's most certainly on new construction. Those come with guarantees that the builder will take care of anything over a certain period of time.
Nice. You actually said something earlier, and then you go, oh, yeah, I'm curious about that. You mentioned having a bank account specifically that we're going to see funds come out of, like closing costs and down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard of a term called a season funds or a season account. Yeah. Could you talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah,
preparing the financials in that way in terms of what
yeah,
needs to be in that account and what needs to happen to that account?
yeah. So when when someone gets pre-approved, I usually communicate a few things to them. One is, okay, you're pre-approved for a loan. Do not go out and buy a Lamborghini now, please. And don't change anything on this credit report between
Mhm.
now and closing day. All right. The other thing is, we'll talk about their estimated cash to close, whether or not I need to search for down payment assistance for them,
Mhm.
what portion they're going to be bringing from the table, bringing to the table, and I'll ask them to identify what bank accounts they're going to be using, bank account, 401k, whatever they're going to be using for that. And we kind of take a snapshot up front. And
Mhm.
to the point of seasoning, seasoning just means that the lender wants to see that the money was in the account for a certain amount of time. And that is to avoid money laundering. That's to avoid money laundering. So typically, if let's say John has a John Q is applying for a mortgage, and he's giving us bank statements, and he needs $15,000 to close, and his bank statements have been saying 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and all of a sudden it says 15,000. They want to know where that 5,000 came from.
Mhm.
If it's within about 60 days of closing, right?
Okay.
So the way for John Q to get around it is to get that 5 G's in the bank before 60 days. and nobody asks any questions
Okay. So in essence, before,
before
yeah, as soon as
that.
possible, but
And that's where the seasoning, the
that
time
it's been sitting in
comes
that
in.
account.
Right, right.
Gotcha. Okay. So is it smart to have a separate bank account just to have those funds sitting there
It's
waiting to purchase?
it's not mandatory, but it's not a bad move. I think
Okay.
that it provides clarity. Um, it provides clarity and just a clean paper trail for lenders. Once a lender sees something, they can't unsee it. So
Okay.
you don't want to put anything messy in front of them because it'll make them start asking additional questions. And it's
Hmm.
also related to gifts that can be passed along for down payment. If say you have a family member who's giving you a sizable um, portion of your down payment, which we're seeing a lot of now because baby boomers have a lot of money that they're sitting on, and they're starting to shake some of it loose and share it with children and grandchildren for down payments. If that money is gifted before 60 days, there are no questions asked, right? It's just in the applicant's um, bank account. If it's within 60 days, then the person sharing the gift has to provide their bank statements.
Hmm. Okay.
Now
So if
imagine
my father was to give me a lump sum of money to help with down payment towards a house, and he then has to share his bank statements.
if it's within 60 days of closing.
Okay. So 60 days seems like that's the sweet spot.
That's
So try to get everything in order financially
right.
before that 60-day time frame.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. And I actually
Okay.
tell folks if so the holidays are coming up. This would be a great conversation for folks to have around the Thanksgiving table or whatever. Uh,
Hmm.
hey, beloved family member, you want to give me some money for down payment? Let's talk about that. And would you please pass the dressing? By the way, but I think that a clever strategy is if you want to purchase a home and if someone agrees to give you a gift, open a joint high yield savings account and have them put the money there. And they have visibility to it, and you have visibility to it, and it's just there. And
Nice.
that's the proof that someone would have to provide. And that way, they don't have to go, and feel that that they are that they're being scrutinized as a part of the mortgage process.
Perfect. She said, "Ooh, they're digging for all the info." Yeah, because they want to know that you're not scamming them. They're
I mean,
gonna pass over that much money. They want to know
that's
that it's
it.
on the up and up.
I mean, you're talking average. The average home price in Charlotte is just over $400,000. So let's cut that in half. Let's say you're looking for a $200,000 house.
Mm,
No one is going to loan you money, that kind of money, without sufficient documentation. I
yeah.
mean, they're just not. They're just not. And I just even personally, right? You,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, you treat it as if it were your own money. Look at it as if it were your own money from a lending perspective.
Good. And then someone asks, are you able to use your 401k for the cost? I'm assuming you mean down payment or closing costs.
Answers yes. Answers yes, and that's actually a really good use of funds. And you can actually pay yourself back. You take it out as a loan, not as a withdrawal. You're
Hmm.
allowed to do that for various reasons for a 401k. This is where I have to stop and say I am not a tax professional. Please consult with a certified tax professional. I'm not able to provide that type of advice from a professional perspective. But yes, you can withdraw money from a 401k. I would suggest doing so as a loan. That way, you're essentially paying yourself back. I think you can go up to 5 years or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And you're really just moving an asset from one ledger to another, right? You're creating equity in the home that you're buying, but you're also paying yourself back at I think it's 8% interest that will go into your 401k. So that's a really smart move to do so.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so I have another question for you around credit. So, specifically, there are plenty of people online saying that they can help you get into a home because they're going to delete items off of your credit
Mhm.
report. How do you feel about
Yeah,
that that process?
yeah,
And any do's or don'ts from the
yeah.
mortgage aspect in preparing a home?
If if someone can repair credit, then you know then
Let
it's
them.
worthwhile. It's worthwhile. We're in a society where credit matters,
Hmm.
right? You have to have it in order to participate in certain things. And there are some legitimate businesses out there that do credit consulting, credit repair, any different uh, names that they're called. The one thing that you should look out for, though, is that if you have disputes on your credit, consumer disputes, that has to be removed before you go into underwriting for even a pre-approval. I can't even analyze an applicant if they have a disputed account or accounts on their credit. There's actually a question on our application that asks that: Do you currently have any disputes, or is your credit frozen? Check yes, check no. If those things exist, the answer has to be flipped to a no, so that we can proceed with doing it. And the reason
Okay.
is if an account is in dispute,
Mhm.
it doesn't calculate into your credit score.
Okay.
So I could be late on something. I could be 30, 60, 90 days late and enter a dispute. And all of
Mhm.
a sudden, they would say, the credit bureau would say, okay, boom, we're going to pause this for now.
Mhm.
And my score would artificially go up because that account wouldn't be considered. But the
Mhm.
people dishing out the $400,000 for the loan,
Yes.
they're hip to the fact that, hey, wait a minute, you know, this person has an account in dispute, and we need to see what their real credit score is when it's taken out.
Okay. Okay. So in essence, make sure all of that is finalized before even
Yeah,
touching a pre-approval.
yeah, it's and again, it's right on the intake form, and
Okay.
I still somehow will get folks that will check no, and I'll look at the credit, and it's got a dispute on there, and oh, I didn't know I had that on there.
Hmm. Okay.
You might have forgot you had it on there, but you know you put it on.
Okay. So that's good to know. Make sure that is taken care of before you
Yeah,
even fill
and
out your application.
and if something is legitimate dispute, then by all means
Hmm.
put it on there and dispute the heck out of it until it gets resolved to your satisfaction. I am by no means saying don't dispute things that legitimately warrant it, but
Hmm.
if the play is simply to boost the score, they're hip to that. They're hip to that.
Okay. So once again, no scamming. Okay. No scamming.
Transparency, transparency. We don't like kickbacks.
Transparency. No. Awesome. Okay. Um, I have a list of questions, but we're running out of time. So let me try to get to the big ones.
Okay.
What are some red flags buyers should watch for when selecting like a mortgage broker or a lender?
Okay. Um, I think it's going to go back to the hidden fees thing. Um,
Okay.
so lenders belong to a organization called NMLS, National Mortgage Licensing System, NMLS. So you'll see an NMLS number associated with anybody who quotes rates, right?
Hmm.
So mine is 237-7380. So you can like go and look me up and see if I have complaints, consumer complaints against me, if I have any violations or infractions, things of that nature. That's also why realtors don't quote rate, because they don't have the licensing to do so. Because you have to be able to disclose, okay, so who's that rate from, what's the price of that rate, and any other number of things. But if a customer wants a quote, to answer your question, a red flag is if they talk to 3 lenders, the fees on the back end should be just about the same, right? Because
Okay.
state taxes, it doesn't matter. That's from the state. That's from the county. Um, the legal fees could waver a little bit, but let's say if you're going to a new construction site, perhaps they have kind of a large deal with an attorney where if that attorney normally costs or charges $700, maybe they're only charging the builder's customer $300 because they know they're going to get 100 units,
Volume. Yeah.
stuff like that. But if you go down line by line, and with all of my customers, I will actually go over a loan estimate with them and explain every item on there and ask them if they have any questions. Because there's segments on there that the customer can choose who the vendor is, and there are items on there that the customer cannot choose. We'll go down and talk about those and let them know where they can and cannot make changes.
Okay. Okay, very good. So there should be some transparency around going through that process with whomever you select. It should be very transparent. They should show you rates, all the details. There shouldn't be anything like hidden.
There's a lot of transparency, and for me, one of the things that, just from a personal integrity perspective, I'm very keen and tuned in on what I tell someone up front. I want to see that happen at closing, and you'll hear a lot about customers who will get to within a few days of closing, and all of a sudden the rules of the game change, right? Oh, well, we were talking about an adjustable rate mortgage, and your loan wasn't locked, your rate wasn't locked, it was floated, and so now it's this. I don't play that. As a small business, I can't afford the negative blowback that will come from customer reviews.
Yeah.
With that, a builder can, they don't care, to a certain extent, because they know that they're just going to keep building, and people are going to keep buying. But that customer feedback is important to me. And if you go to mortgagematchup.com, and type my name in, you can see what customers think of my interactions with them.
Very good. Okay. You mentioned something about new construction.
Mhm.
If I am a buyer and I
Mhm.
see this, wonderful banner that says they can get me a rate at 2.99%
Yeah,
and $20,000 in closing costs,
sure.
um, how should I navigate that?
You should pursue finding out information about that rate and that discount.
Okay.
Um, in some instances, it's good. Again, they're buying at scale. They're
Mm-hmm.
buying at scale. And with my clients, I try to create an environment where I'm partnered with them for life, right? So if they've come to me first and we've talked about their goals and laid out their goals, and they're saying, hey, I'm considering new construction, I'm considering existing, on and on and on, I'll tell them to bring me the deal. I'll
Okay.
go over the builder's loan estimate with them, and point out, hey, this is a good deal, I would do it if
Okay.
it's good. If it's not, I'll point it out and let them know where there's some blind spots. I'm happy to do that.
Very good. Okay, awesome. And that actually leads to one of my other questions for from a purchasing standpoint. How does someone know if they're getting a good deal? So you mentioned you'll go over it,
Mhm.
that loan estimate with them if it's from a builder, but just for the everyday person, is there a quick way, especially from financial perspective, for them to know if they're actually getting a good deal?
So my wife, who owns a real estate firm, she famously says there's no such thing as free money, right?
This
And
is true.
oftentimes, what you will see, since we're talking about new construction, is they simply shift the money around in the deal, right? So we have to kind of play that little shell game, like you see on the streets of the big cities, right, where you're following just to kind of keep up. And it can be hard. It can be hard for the layman to decipher. Shoot, it's hard for us sometimes because they can really tuck stuff away and create opportunities to not be as transparent as you would like. Um,
Yeah.
but these companies are, for to a great extent, they're publicly traded companies, and you can look and see what their profit margins are. So uh, they're not losing money on deals. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are down to our last 5 minutes.
Okay.
Anything that we have not touched on, Mark, that you want to talk about?
Yeah, will just go back to what we talked about early on about just kind of the stewardship aspect of things,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that when you have the opportunity to grow, then you have an obligation to grow as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of facts and figures out there about what net worth in certain communities will be within the next 20 years, 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be a part of bringing about positive change. We want to be a part of bringing about positive change. And real estate, again, it's just time tested and true to be a solid long term play. Is it a pain in the butt when you got to replace water here? Yeah, it is. Shoot, yeah. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I had a leak. We had a leak about a month and a half ago, and I had, trust me when I say I had plans for that $400 that I had to pay for that. But long term, I know what the appreciation is on my home since I've had it.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, the minor inconveniences are outweighed tremendously by the impact that it has on our overall net worth. So stay focused
Absolutely.
on that. Stay focused on that. Multiply what you've
Yeah.
been given. Multiply what you've been given.
Again, mindset shift because it's bigger than just saying you own a home or just to say you have a roof over your head. It's long term, like the actual impact you can have long term.
Absolutely. It is one of the rare financial instruments that will allow you to kind of fund your fun, to fund your fun,
Mm-hmm.
right? So equity in your home can be used for like really mature things like college tuition and
Mm-hmm.
retirement, but also it can fund if you want to open a business. You can pull equity out of your home to do that. If you want to travel, you can do a home equity loan and do that. So as that property value appreciates, which it typically does at least 3% per year in this area, 3 to 4% in the Charlotte metro area, and more than that in some other areas. There are not a lot of spots in the United States where homes depreciate in value, so it's usually a very solid investment, and then you can use that to take care of so many other aspects of your life and make a positive impact, not only in your life but for generations to come.
I've shared this story with a few people, but I remember when I graduated from college, my parents gave me like a dinner with friends, right?
Mhm.
Which super appreciative for that dinner.
Yeah, yeah,
But the young lady that lived next to me, her parents gave her a house at college graduation. So she got to graduate. She already
mhm.
had a job lined up, but she got
Yeah,
to walk into a house that was already paid off.
yeah,
So the way she got to start off her life was a little bit different than, some of the others that
yeah,
didn't have
yeah.
that type of interaction. Yeah.
I do. I
But
just
it always stuck out to me because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a
yeah,
possibility to
sure.
get
Yeah.
started, differently.
I've just come up with a topic for another conversation, but
Okay.
we can.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining once again for Faith and Foundations. I did forget. Okay, so if you are in the Charlotte area, I'm roping Mark in on this. He kind of knows about it, but not so much.
please.
Uh, so if you're in the Charlotte area, we are offering something very special for you. So I am having a Home for the Holidays event. This is going to be your opportunity to come in office and sit with Mark and myself and do your pre-approval on the spot. So we're going to remove the fear. We're going to remove like this, like being out, in the unknown and not having someone to ask, questions to and to walk you through that process. So if you're on this live, this is for you. Please DM me your email address. I will send you the information of the date and the location. We'll have some light snacks and refreshments, but I want to offer that specifically for those of you that are here tonight. So DM me your email if you're interested in coming. We would love to do that, but it's going to be like in person. So you'll see us in person to handle it. Home for the holidays. The goal is to get you into a home by the end of this year.
You can do it. Today's October 20th.
Yes.
I had a customer who went under contract on Saturday, and her closing date is December 1st. So you have time to be in a house, be in a home for the holidays.
Literally within 30 to 45 days, right?
Yep,
So we
easily.
want to take the fear from around that process. You're going to have both of us there, Mark for the mortgage side, me
Yep.
obviously to help you locate the home. But yeah, so we want to invite you to that. So please make sure you DM me your information. And yeah, thanks so much for joining. And it seems like we might end up with another session, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
that's
thank
it.
you so much, everyone, for joining. And yeah, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.